I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Once again, welcome. Thanks for the time this morning. We're going to do a little bit of an overview of the new Conga Solution Manager. It's a part of the Conga Composer package that is available on the App Exchange now. And hopefully, ultimately, this is going to be a easier and a little more foolproof way to create Composer solutions. I'll go through a little bit about myself and Composer first, and then go through the agenda, and then we'll get right into the demo. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jeremiah Manning. I go by Jay. I'm an application developer here at Conga. I've been here about 4.5 years at Conga total. 3 years as a business analyst, so a lot of time in the trenches helping people build Composer solutions, debug things, fix things, and then about 1.5 years now working as an application developer. My big project over the last year was building the Conga Solution Manager, which is what we're going to see today, and it's the new approach to building the Composer solution. There's my email address there if anyone's curious. I've also got my Twitter handle there, at Conga_Jeremiah. About Conga, just a quick little slide here. 3 locations, one here in Colorado, the headquarters where I'm at, one in London, one in Sydney. Some of our core products down there, Conga Composer, Conga Conductor, Conga Workflow, and Conga Courier. We're going to be focused on Conga Composer today, as that's where the Solution Manager works with. Conga Composer, really just a little overview of the actual product here. Generate customized documents, reports, and presentations in a variety of formats. All of that stays true. We're just going to focus on how to build these solutions now, make it easier up front, more user-friendly, and we'll see that a little bit later. And the agenda today, a little bit of an overview of the Conga Solution Manager. Again, that is in the Conga Composer package currently on the App Exchange, codename Massive. Those are the Colorado 14ers. That's the second highest 14er in Colorado. Those are our 14,000-foot mountains. Conga Solution Packs, the super quick way to get off the ground running with a working solution in your org. There's a Composer version, a DocuSign version, and an Adobe Document Cloud eSign, formerly EchoSign version of that as well. We'll talk about those a little bit towards the end and where you can get those and what they include. And then hopefully at the end a little Q&A. I don't see this going much past 30 minutes. I know we had an hour on the schedule, but I should be able to get to whatever I need to and whatever I want to show you here in about 30 minutes. Then we'll come back to this at the very end, but some resources, and I'll come back there at the end of the presentation today. Close this real quick and hop right in. So a little review of the normal, the tried, the tested, and the true approach to building a Composer solution would be something like this. You would come to your object you're looking to build a button on or a link. You would do a new button or link, but before you did that, you would grab the URL out of an existing one, copy that, go back and do a new button or link, give it a name, so this could be our account summary, and paste that in here, make sure there's no spaces at the end, and then go about building that solution out, adding report data or query data if you need it, adding your template ID. All of those pieces that Composer does so well, you'd be doing those by hand. I've taken that approach and kind of built a point-and-click method to do the same thing. So instead of this, it looks much more like a normal Salesforce process would, where I'm going to build a Conga solution. Again, this is a tab in the new package. And you're going to do a new one, and this will be ultimately the name of the button. So this could be our account overview instead of account summary. And you're going to pick a master object. So we've got a list of objects. Where is that button going to be placed? That's the question answered here. If I want that on my account page, or do I want that on an opportunity or a custom object? Where do I want that? In this case, I want to build a button on the account. I'm going to create record, and you're going to see it's going to string together that baseline URL right away. Those are the 4 lines you would have copied and pasted and put in your new button by hand. But what it's doing for you now is just stringing together your solution as you're adding components. So something you would want And an account overview might be data for the contacts or the cases and or the opportunities and the activities. And in fact, I've got some reports and one query built out for those data sets, and I'm going to add those. The old approach would have been go to reports, open that up, click on the report you want to include, grab the ID out of the URL. But I've given you a way here, again, a point-and-click approach, where I can add report data. Now, for the sake of time, all of my reports and my templates, those things exist in this org. But you see here, I bring up a table of the available reports based upon the person who's logged in. Typically, this is a system administrator, so you're going to have your reports shown here, all of them. And I want to include some things in my account overview process. So I want to include the activities, for instance. You'll notice as I click on something in this table, it's going to fill in the name and the ID. If you catch this real quick here, it's going to flash red. Aliases are required. So part of this is also enforcing good behavior. We want to make it clear in our templates and our button later what this report actually does. So I'm enforcing using an alias in this. When you've got your fields filled in as required, you can click the Add Report to Solution Record button. It's going to add that report to the solution. And then down here, you're going to see a running list of those pieces you've already added. Here are my reports that have been added so far. So I've got my activities in here. I also want my contact data. Same idea. I'm going to go ahead and grab the alias and put it in there. It's the one I want to use. I'm going to add that report. One more report for this, the opportunities data. And I'm going to add that report as well. So all three of those reports have now been added to my solution. There hasn't been a button built yet. This is just a record. And as I return to this in Salesforce, you're going to see the familiar record and related list that everyone's used to in Salesforce here. We've got our report ID parameter. That's what we would have hand-typed. We would have typed out with a square bracket activities and then the report ID. So I'm just stringing this together behind the scenes for you based upon the components you're adding. Now there's one more piece to this I want to add, another data set to this. That happens to be a query. So I added report data before. I'm going to go ahead and add query data now. And you'll see here I've got my queries for my org listed. There's only one in this org. If you're curious to see what's actually in this query, you can hover over this. It gives you the statement that you have in that query record. So this is the one I want. Again, the alias is required. I filled in the other two fields when you clicked on the record over here in the table. And I'm going to add Conga query to solution record. This list at the bottom expands. Now we've got one query added here, and that's all I've got in this org and all I need for this solution. When I return, it's now added the query ID parameter in there for me, along with the alias and that query record ID. So the same kind of thing you would have been doing in the button by hand. Again, just putting it together for you in the order we like to see. We like the first 4 lines here. We like the data next. We'll go ahead and add a template in a second here. We like that to be next, maybe an email template. And then we're going to customize that with some of our parameters. We'll talk about that a little bit because there's a lot that's been added to this piece in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and add my template. Again, for the sake of time, I've created a template that matches all of that data. Here's my account overview. Notice that it's a Word doc in here. When I click on this, it does the same thing it was doing before. It's going to fill in the required fields with that data. If you want to use a description, you could put one in here. Maybe you want to leave yourself a note about what this is. And I'm going to add the Conga template to the solution record. And here, again, just like my reports and queries, that related list populates at the bottom of this one. So right now I've added one template. That's the first one. You can add more than one template to a Composer solution. Sort order is 1 because it's the first one I added. If I added a second one, it would make it sort order 2, and that would be the end result. That order would be the output order as well. I've got another one in here, but that's not part of this solution. We'll use that one a little bit later. When I return to my solution record, a new parameter shows up with that ID, the template ID parameter. There's no email template to use in this one, so we'll come back to that a little bit later. But we do want to talk about the parameters. So customizing with parameters, you may want the output to be a PDF by default, or be a forced PDF output, or give that file a specific name. So a lot of those little customization pieces you're going to want to do with this process. and that's all in our Customize with Parameters option right here. It's going to run out, and this is very new and very helpful in my opinion here. We're going to give you a table with all of our available parameters in it. You'll be able to search these. So for instance, maybe I want this thing to output as a PDF file. So I'm going to go ahead and search for PDF. It's going to bring back a lot of results. It's a very inclusive search here. So PDF may be in the description, it may be in the name. You can get a lot of results here, but I wanted to give you a lot of options when you search for a term. In my case here, I'm looking for default PDF. I want this thing, when somebody runs this process, I want this PDF file to be defaulted. It's not locked. And you'll notice as I clicked on the name of the parameter in the table, it's going to bring up the description, the values available, and how to use right over here in this right-hand panel. A great way to find the parameter you're looking for. Conga Sphere, our knowledge base, has all of these listed as well, but I've tried to create a system here that allows you to stay within its own confines. I want you to stay in the Solution Manager to do all of your work, to grab your parameters, to grab those reports, that query that you saw. Most importantly, I want you to be able to find the parameters you're looking for. So maybe I wanted not default PDF, but I'm taking a look through here. Well, what's this FP0 right here? Lock output file format. What does that do? I can click on that one, and it's going to display on the right-hand side again what this parameter does. If this is the one I want, I can go ahead and use the Select Parameter button. This is going to put some data where it belongs. So the parameter name fills in for you. The parameter value, that's one of the options down here. Do I want the same as template? Do I want this locked as PDF? Or do I want this locked as same as template? I'm going to go ahead and choose option 1. I want this always to come out as a PDF file. So when I add the parameter to the solution record, it's going to add this record in, again, at the bottom. Just scroll down a little bit farther because of this table. But down at the bottom, you're going to get a running list of those customization parameters you've added. And let's add a few more in here just to show the functionality. I'm going to go ahead and name this file something every time one of my users runs it. So file name, what do we got here? File name. We got a couple options in here. Activity subject, output file name. Perfect. I click on that one. Again, the right-hand panel populates with the definition and the usage of that parameter. So if the output file name, a little example of how to use this. So I'm going to select that parameter. But this time, I actually want to use a value from the account one of my users is running this from. For instance, I want the account name as part of that file name. And I've given you a merge field help right here, this button. When I click on this, it's going to open up a small table up here that gives you the fields from the object you selected. That first step, we gave my solution a name, account overview, and picked a master object. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the fields from that master object, as well as, if I go to the back here, the fields from the running user. A lot of times our customers and partners like to use a field from the user who's actually clicking the button somewhere in the process. So I've given you both options. The account fields in this case, plus the running user fields, and then a couple special ones that Salesforce gives you as well, the now and today. Maybe you want to include the date that somebody created this in the file name. But I'm going to go ahead and type over here. I'm going to do account overview 4, and then I'm going to include the account name. I can search this just like the rest of my tables in Solution Manager, and here's the field I want. I click on it, and it appends to the value that I've already typed in here. So now when I create this file a little bit later, and I'll run through the actual creation of this in a second, it's going to come out saying account overview 4, and then the name of whatever account I was looking at the time. I'm going to add that parameter. And I'm going to add 2 more while I'm here. I want to do some attaching of this file. So when I create this file, I want to go ahead and save a copy against that record. So let's see, save, looks like save a copy. There we go. SC0 and SC1 popped up as well. So let's see. SC0 saves a copy of the merged output file. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and select this parameter. And you'll notice this time we filled in the parameter value for you, and it didn't flash red, it flashed that green color. That's because we're going to assume if you're including something like this, SC0, that you're going to want to actually enable that functionality. SC0 equals 0, it doesn't do anything, so we go ahead and make the assumption you want to turn that on. So I'm going to add that parameter to the solution record. You'll notice here, SC1 popped up with that. We'll come back to that in just a second. Adding SC0, I'm going to go ahead and search directly for a parameter. So say I know the exact parameter, you can absolutely search by that name as well. SC1. Now you'll notice here attachment parent ID popped up along with SC1 as a result. That's because we've done some linking behind the scenes as well. Attachment parent ID would allow you to attach this file to a different record other than the account we're going to run it from. We give you some of those behind the scenes linking of parameters in case you might want to use something else that's related to one of these. So there's my SC1. It required SC0. I've already got that turned on in here. And it just asked me where do I want to save this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and choose attachments. I'm going to select this parameter. We didn't know which one we wanted to pick for you, so we go ahead and left that one blank. I'm going to choose the attachments as the option and add that parameter to the solution record. Now, plenty more to explore in here. All of those parameters that we allow are in this list. We update this quite frequently, so we're going to keep this at the same level as our knowledge base and our website. So this will be a really great repository to find those customization parameters moving forward. When I return to the record now, we strung together a few more things at the bottom. Again, liking the order. This is our base URL, our data, our template, email template if we would have had one, and then all of our customization pieces down below. So at some point here, we actually need to create the button. We haven't done that yet. If you notice up in the top here, I've got a button to do just that. So instead of having to copy and paste this somewhere, I can just hit the Create button. And the Solution Manager is, well, here we go. Take a look at this. So a few things I'm going to catch here. One of them is the setup area of Conga Solutions setup. So when you install this new package, I left this in here on purpose to make sure we talked about this. There's a new tab. It's not included in the app. You'll notice it's not up here. Conga Solution Setup. So the only thing necessary here to enable this new system is to go to this page and follow the steps. We've got a few remote sites that Salesforce requires to create that button and update that button. So I'm going to follow the steps here. Before continuing, add the following entries to your remote sites. I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Site. It's going to open up a new tab. I'm going to save and then close this window. So that one's done. We'll go ahead and do it for the other two as well. And then the last one. And that's it for the setup of Conga Solution Manager. At this point now, you could use this link to go and create a new record. We've already got one going here. We'll go back to that one. But that's the only time you're going to need to do any setup procedures for Solution Manager. So back in here, I can try this again. Now that my remote sites are created, I can go ahead and create that button. You'll notice that it's now Update button, and a few other things are available that weren't before. So we've got the Conga Composer Account Overview button added to the account object. I've filled in this field right here. This is an actual link to that button, so we can see that my solution, what I put together, has been created on this object. Here's the exact syntax we just saw, what we built with that Solution Manager. Got a little bit of a description down here. If you're coming back to make updates, we're really stressing that you should update the solution record. So I've given you a link back to that solution record in the description of the button as well. So if I click here, it's going to bring you right back to that Conga solution record here for the account overview. At this point now, we've got a couple options that popped up. We can manage the page layouts. I'm going to recommend we hold off on that just for a few. But we want to access the template builder. The normal scenario would have been to create the button after adding the data. I didn't want to go through the process of building a template on the webinar today. But we do want to show you what the Access Template Builder does. So when I click into this, it's going to search the master object for the records that are in there, the last 200 by created dates. It's going to give you 200 options in here. And it's going to have you choose one. We need to set a sample record. This allows us to test our solution without putting it on a page layout. Really great for admins that don't want to expose their users to something that isn't complete yet. So I'm going to pick my S-Force account. I'm going to select the sample record. This page will refresh. Notice this is disabled for the moment. The page refreshes, and now this is available because we have the button built and a sample record selected. So at this point, I can access the template builder from right here by launching Composer. Again, I've already built a template. So I'm going to just return to the solution record. Our sample record ID is now filled in. If you want to take a look at that record, you can click on this. Here's my S-Force record with some data in there. And it also allows us to launch Composer. This was disabled until the button was created and the sample record ID was selected. So at this point now, as the admin or whoever is building this solution, I can go ahead and launch Composer right here without placing this on the page layout. I'm going to launch Composer, and think of this as if you were clicking that button, this Conga Composer account overview, on this sampled record. We haven't put it on page layout, but it just runs our solution over here against this sample record ID. You're going to see right here S-Force, that was the record I picked. I've got my template selected, that was my template ID parameter. I've got all of my data selected as well. Here's my save a copy, that was my SC0 and SC1. So all those things Composer does, it's all laid out in this, because again, all I've done is press that button. I'm going to go ahead and merge and download just so you can see this file. This is also what I would have a system administrator do. I want to make sure this file is working as intended. Take a look at my account overview here, and it looks pretty good. I've got my data for my account up top. Here are my contacts, my opportunities from that account, some activities down here, and the cases. Powered by Conga Composer, a little sample template, but enough to show those detail regions, those reports, and that query. So as the admin now, I'm happy with this. I can go ahead and close this window. And the very last step would be to include this on a page layout. Now, typically, you would have had to either go to the record and use the Edit Layout button, or go to the object and modify those page layouts. But I've given you the ability here with this button to manage those page layouts. This is going to run out and take a look at that object. Now, there is a warning here. The functionality is not available for Manage Package page layouts or objects that are part of a managed package. A little bit of just a gotcha there. Keep that in mind if you're dealing with a managed package page layout or just a managed package object in general. This functionality won't work for you. We're dealing with the account and the normal layouts, so it's going to work for us. It's going to bring up all of those layouts. It's going to pre-select them for you, and you can deselect all or select all, or you can uncheck and only add it to the ones you want. Once you have the page layout selected that you're looking for, you can go ahead and add this to the selected layouts. It's going to run through here, refresh the page, and it's going to tell you button successfully added to at least one page layouts. The green check marks indicate that that button is on those layouts. So now you know that these page layouts include that button. Instead of going to each individual page layout, just a little quicker and easier way to manage those and add this button there. We can return to the solution record. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that sample record, and there's my button right there that I just added. So that's the overview for a pretty typical use case for Conga Composer. Give me some sort of master record with a lot of its detail, a lot of its child data, building it with Solution Manager. And if you noticed, I never really had to leave this record to do all of that work. That was the main goal of why we put this together. We can do all of our work to build that solution right from the Conga Solution Manager with all of these pages. I do want to bring you through a couple other pieces here. I'm going to take one quick glance here, make sure there's no questions that have come in. Looks pretty good. I want to go through the Conga global merges. Those of you on the call might be familiar with Conga quick merge links. Those have been kind of renamed to Conga global merges. You can think of this as the Composer version of the old quick merge links. And it's a way to run a lot of reports that aren't specific to one record. So I'm going to go back. We're going to build it the same way we just built every other solution now with Solution Manager. I'm going to go back and build a new solution again, a Conga global merge. I'm going to call this my op report. I'm going to create the record. So the same thing applies here. A couple things are missing, and then I'll show you why a little bit later. But all of my add report data, all of the normal pieces we just went through, are all still in place here. So I'm going to add some report data. I have a report set up to do this. Here's my all ops report. Again, required to give it an alias. I'm going to add that report to the solution record. I'm going to return to that record. Here's my report ID I just added. And all this has beyond just the report is a template. So I'm going to click Add Templates. Here's my op report. It's an Excel file. That was the icon here. I'm going to add this one and return to the solution record. So instead of Create Button, I'm going to create Conga Global Merge. When I click this button, it's going to create a Global Merge record as well as the button that we're going to launch. So a button has been added to the object, and a Conga Global Merge record has been created. Here's that record ID. I fill it in for you. Here's the link to that button. And if I go take a look at this Global Merge record, I have in here a very simple record that allows you to really just launch this. And what this is going to do is launch a composer. It's got that report defined. It has that template defined. And it's a pretty simple Excel output file. Here's my op report pre-selected. And I could hit the merge and download button. All the same stuff applies as normal Composer at this point. But this is a great way to build those kind of record agnostic solutions in your org. This is included with Solution Manager. If you're familiar with it, the old quick merge link allowed you to do mail merge processes. That's not what this is intended to do. This is meant to just run a Conga Composer solution without being tied to a single record. There's a lot more to explore in here, and plenty more, but take a look at it yourself. That's what this object does. But remember, the important part, it's built the same way as every other solution is with the Solution Manager. Just make sure you pick that Conga Global Merge object up front. That's a bit of an overview here. I'm going to jump into a few deeper level pieces of the Solution Manager. If you notice at the bottom, I've got this thing called the button archive. We wanted to give users the ability to track changes or maybe fix mistakes that are bound to happen. I was doing this for a long time, and I made plenty of those. And a lot of times when you're dealing just with a button and typing things in there, you're not sure exactly what you changed. There's no versioning. But let's say I wanted to add something to this solution here. So I'm going to add a few more parameters to this. I'm going to go ahead and add something pretty typical here. I'm going to add AC0 and AC1. I'm going to go ahead and enable activity logging. When I create this, I want an activity, a task record, to be created. I'm going to go ahead and select this parameter. Again, we assume you want to turn it on. I'm going to fill in the 1. And I'm going to add the parameter to the solution record. I've now just made a change to my solution, but my button hasn't been updated yet. So when I go back to my solution record here, you're going to notice you get a warning at the top that the current button URL, the actual button that's on the account object, does not match our button URL in progress field. Clicking Update button will overwrite the current button URL. We're always pushing data from the solution record into the button. It's a unilateral push. That's why we want people to manage these from the solution record, and you're going to see why in just a second here. An archive of the current button URL will be created in the button archive. So I'm going to go ahead and push that change into that button. I'm going to click Update button here. It's going to push that parameter into the button. So now that warning message is gone because these are the same. And it's also created this in the bottom, this note in the button archive. This note is a record of what the button was prior to updating it. A really great mechanism for versioning, control, the ability to go back to a version if you made a change and you weren't sure what that was. We got a lot of calls here when I was a business analyst about a button has been changed, but there was no record of what it was prior to change, so we had to go back and debug that thing fully. This is a great way to go back and grab the existing button that was there prior to an update. Every time update button is used, it's going to do that. So you're going to have a nice version list down here of those changes that have been pushed. And now I can launch Composer, and just to make sure you see that change has been reflected, I added AC0, our activity logging parameter, and now activity logging is enabled. That functionality is right there. That is pushed live to the page layouts. Again, we updated the button. So all of those users who are using this now have that change, and it's going to be live immediately for your users. That is the kind of 20-minute overview of Solution Manager and very high level to step back here. It's just an easier way, a point-and-click approach to building one of our Composer solutions. We hope it's adopted. It doesn't mean again, the tried and tested approach of building a button from the setup isn't going to work. That's still valid and on the table. And if that's the approach that existing customers are used to, absolutely, that's a great way. We have a lot of people, myself sometimes, that are still build a button here, even with Solution Manager out, and that's a completely valid way to build a Composer solution still moving forward. There's another piece, if you remember on the agenda here, called the solution packs, and that's a great way to get off the ground running with a working solution in an org. I'm going to go actually to our website here, congasphere.com. And here's our new website, a little overview of this. And in the build section, we've got kind of 3 different routes here. We've got the pre-assembled solution packs, that's where I'm going to go, the Solution Manager, that guided assembly, what I just went through, and the custom crafted to do it yourself, that tried and tested and still very valid route to building a button URL in Salesforce. I'm going to go ahead and click into the solution packs. And on this page here, you've got a little overview of what these are. They're a tool, a package that's installable once you have this new version of Composer installed, that'll get you off the ground running really quickly and include some pre-configured solutions for you. We've got an account brief, you've got an invoice, and a proposal. So right in here, after installing one of these, and I'm actually going to go ahead and do this so you see the process here. Very simple, very easy, and it takes about 2 minutes to go ahead and install one of these. So within a couple minutes here, you've got a working solution. You can reverse engineer, take a look at the template, maybe it's going to work for you. I'm going to go ahead and install it into this org, and while this is spinning, it's going to put a few documents folders, a few things that are kind of behind the scenes. This isn't going to take up any limits. There are no custom tabs. There are no custom objects. There's no custom fields in here. So this is not going to encroach upon any of your limits in Salesforce. Very minimal amount of data, an Apex class, Visual Force page, and a few documents folders really is all that's in here. And it's going to allow you to pick and choose from those 3 solutions, the account brief, the invoice, and the quote, which of those you would like to extract. It's going to create the solution records for you. And it's going to allow you to, if you want to, create those buttons as well. So as this spins here, the most dangerous thing you can do on a live webinar is try to install something. Hopefully this is pretty quick. If this finishes in the Salesforce timeout, you'll actually be able to extract this right from the page. Looks like it did. So here it's working on something.
Did you already explain how people can get access to it, or how they'll go about getting it?
That's good. So here's the solution pack itself, and I'll talk about gaining access to this and how to get it and some of the requirements here in just a moment here. I'll go back through that. But you'll notice here it installed kind of in the allotted time that Salesforce gives the package to be installed. And the instructions are right here. You can pick and choose which ones you might want to see, and we're going to go ahead and grab all 3 just so you see how this works. I'm going to unpack those solutions. It's creating Conga templates and associating reports and creating parameters as we built these. I'm going to add a remote site. So this is a managed package, so it's got its own unique site, just like we did before. Close this. There's the familiar green check mark from the solution setup. And at this point now, I can either create the Composer buttons, or I can go off to the solution records. I'm going to go ahead and create those buttons. And now I've got my 3 live links right here, but I'll just go ahead and go to Conga Solutions and show you those that have been built. And there are the 3 solutions that we just unpacked from that solution pack. And I'm going to go ahead and pick the account brief. It's very similar to what you saw. But you'll notice here, we've built out the solution for you. We've associated to the reports. There's a file template that was included. All of the parameters we put in there for you. The button's been created. We picked a sample record for you as well. And you can go ahead and launch Composer. So literally, in those 3 minutes, you've got a working solution in an org And all the requirement is having that new Composer package installed. There's my account brief. Here are all my parameter settings. My data's all set. I'm going to go ahead and preview this. Now, the one thing we can't guarantee that we grabbed for you is a record with all of that data. It happens that I know the record it grabbed is going to be the appropriate one. And here's that account brief. So very similar to what you saw that I built live for you. But that all happened in the background, and you can get off the ground running. If you want to customize the colors, maybe add a logo, you can now reverse engineer this. And again, you have those working solutions that are pre-built in just a couple of minutes for you. There's one of those for DocuSign and one of those for the Adobe Document Cloud eSign services as well, formerly EchoSign. I'm going to show you again how to get these. So on our website, congasphere.com, kind of our knowledge base and support site here, there's a build category right in the middle. If you click into build, you've got pre-assembled solution packs here on the left. And this page right here will give you a link to learn more about the Composer one, the DocuSign one, the Adobe Document Cloud eSign one, as well as the links to actually install those. And if you noticed before, I just clicked on this link and installed it right from here into this org. That pretty much wraps up the two main agenda pieces, the overview of the Solution Manager. You saw me build one of those from the ground up, as well as the solution packs that are available right on our support site, congasphere.com. One last piece here, although it doesn't really apply to this one, the Add Conga email template. It works the same way as the other ones. It's going to go out and look for the Conga email templates in this org, and there are a few that were installed, one that was in there before, and the same thing applies. You click on one, and you can add that Conga email template to your solution record. I made a change. Here's my warning. I can update my button, and just to stress it one more time, there's my button archive of what was in place prior to updating the button. So at this point, I'm hoping there's a few questions, or if not, we can grab them here. It looks like there's something here. I'm trying to expand my question out a little bit. Can you open and click it on my button, the question here? There it is. Looks like, can you copy and save as one of the solutions to use as the basis for a new template? So you can absolutely use one of the templates that was included. Do a save as on that. As of right now, there's no clone button for a solution record, but the templates involved in there, you can go to the template record itself. If I scroll down here, actually look at my list of components, I can go to the file template, the Salesforce record, and that's a Conga template record, and I could do a view on this template and open that up and do a save as, and then right there, that template can be the basis for something you want to do. I have kind of a feeling that our invoice one and our quote one is going to be used that way quite a bit, because at this point now, this file can be saved to my desktop, and I can do kind of whatever I need to, any modifications, and then I could even re-upload this file and make that template record into this new version. For instance, if I put a logo here or change some colors, I could do a save as, and I could come and reattach that file here, or I could make a brand new template record and use that template. Did that help you? Oh, the whole button. So as of right now, there is no clone on a solution record. It's kind of on my list. This is version 1 of the Solution Manager, and there's already a version 2 list going, and a clone button is definitely slated for the next release. And thank you for the question, and thanks for clarifying there. Anybody else out there? Teresa, you're in the room. Did you see any other questions come through, or is that what we've seen so far here?
Do you just want to explain that if they haven't upgraded yet, they won't see the...
Absolutely. So a quick explanation here. This Solution Manager, these pieces in here are in the latest version of our Conga Composer package. And I'm just going to head over to the App Exchange real quick here. And if you scroll down a little bit here, we've got a most popular. Hey, we're back in slot number 2. We've been 2 or 3 for as long as I've been here, and even before that. But to get that new package and to get this functionality, you do need to either update your current Composer package to the one that's on the App Exchange here, or if it's a new org, of course, you're going to get that anyway because they'll just be installing it. But you'll notice here it is version 8.8, codenamed Massive, again, the second tallest peak in Colorado. And all this functionality you saw today is based upon the latest version of Composer. Great thing about upgrading Composer, all of those solutions you may already have in your org, they're not going to be affected by upgrading the package itself. So don't worry about making the change. Upgrading the package, it's always a good thing to do anyway. We recommend it. There's a lot of new functionality, although in this case here, really all that's in there is this Conga Solution Manager. And if you don't want to use this and you still want to update the package, that's fine. It's just an object, and normal profile and user permission settings apply to this, and you could hide the tab if you don't want to use this functionality. And I'm hoping that the benefits kind of outweigh learning something new here, but normal Salesforce permissions and security apply, just a custom object in that package. It looks like there's a question here. What's the benefit? Can you show the DocuSign solution back? So, sure, let me go back real quick here. And inside of this one, there's a DocuSign contract and a DocuSign quote. It's going to work the same exact way we just did with the Composer solution one. You're going to install that link. It's going to have you pick between the two or both of them to unpack as solution records. There's some gotchas with DocuSign and the Adobe Document Cloud one. Obviously, you need to have either of those systems in your Salesforce org and configured and running properly. We're going to create the Composer solution, the Conga Solution Record for you, and the button if you want us to. But as soon as you go and try to actually merge and send to a DocuSign or merge and send to Adobe Document Cloud, at that point now you have to have those both up and running in that org and configured properly to actually see us pass off that file into one of those two systems. And if you're interested in here, these are absolutely available right now into production or sandbox or a dev org, wherever you might want to go. Take a look at them, and I'm always available, and we are here if there's follow-up questions about what's in this, or if you need some help. Our support is top-notch and happy to help with these. So it looks like Lekina, what's the benefit of not linking, no problem, of course, to a record when running a global merge? So the benefit there of global merge is you're not tied to any one specific record, and it's a really good way to compile a lot of, well, seemingly unrelated data. Basically, you've got these reports that aren't related to anything. In my case here, if I go take a look, that report in my global merge is just a report of a bunch of opportunities in here. And there's no link to an account, there's no link to a specific record, there are no filters at all, actually, in here. And the global merge record is the perfect place to run a Composer solution that isn't linked to anything. In fact, you could run a lot of reports at the same time. It's a great way to compile and run multiple sets of data, reports or queries, at the same time, run those in parallel, which is something Salesforce doesn't allow you to do. So wrapping that into a Composer solution with global merge is kind of the best way to do that. And then you've got all this data at your fingertips, and you can do really whatever you want to in output. You've got PowerPoint, you go to an Excel file, a Word document. But the benefit of that really is you're not tied to any one specific record. You just want all of the data from a report, or a lot of reports, or a query, or a lot of queries at one time. Any other questions here? We're at about 45 minutes in, and I'd love to give you all 10 minutes back here and let everybody get their day going. Well, it looks to be about it. Let me check in behind over my shoulder here. Teresa, anything else?
Nope,
Any other
I think we're all set.
Sounds good. And again, thank you all for the time this morning. Hopefully this resonated with you, and that new package on the App Exchange. Take a look into a sandbox in your prod org. Again, any existing solutions won't be affected by this, and really appreciate everybody's time today. And as was sent out there, there will be a recording of the session. We sent out to anyone that registered. You can also find it on our Conga TV page, congasphere.com. So take a look there. Let us know if there's any questions. Our support's always available to you, so please take a look. And again, thanks for the time, everyone. Have a great day.